Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Apologies in advance about my voice. I am a little bit sick today, so I'll try my best to go through the stream. But yeah, my voice will sound a little bit croaky, but that's just because I'm sick. So we'll try our best. Hope you guys are doing well. So Hanny's mentioned in chat, who would I start between Trippier and Gabriel? I'd still start Trippier, to be honest. It's still a good fixture in terms of the defensive one. Yes, of course, Newcastle have fallen off a cliff as a defense, but I would actually still easily go with Trippier here just because the attacking edge is there and the fixture is not too terrible. For example, let's say if I had to compare it to Porro, right? Another very poor defense, but you're also looking at a much tougher sort of opponent when it comes to losing your clean sheets when it's like Brighton, for example. So yeah, for that reason, I think it makes a lot of sense to actually go with Trippier. Alexis says, "Hi, Fran. Think about bringing Solanke to Darwin, Porro to Trent, Saka to De Bruyne, Gabriel. I don't like that -8. First of all, the first thing I'd say is I know it could technically set you up for 10 playing players for Gaming 26, but my issue is that moves like Porro to Trent for this week, Saka to De Bruyne for this week don't feel very good for me. Even Gabriel this week doesn't feel like a good move out. So I much prefer, for example, if you let's say have the chance to go to Foden, or let's say Jota as a midfield move, I don't think you need to necessarily break apart your entire team structure just to actually go for Kevin De Bruyne. That's my personal opinion. So for that reason, I would probably recommend not to do that move because I'd much rather you make moves such that you can only make 2 free transfers and that's it. Dino says, "Hi, Fran. Hope you're well. Who would you bench from the following? Saka, Jota, Palmer, Richarlison, Foden, Haaland, Solanke, Watkins." I'd bench Solanke in that situation. For me, it's actually between Palmer and Solanke, and my answer would still be to bench Solanke. Andre says, "Hi, friend. When do you plan to use your wild card?" Um, Look, I think the standard move would be to wild card after game week 27 because we will have some information about the FA Cup. Um, I do think that my team is in a very, very bad spot for game week 26. So to be honest, I do think that it's worthwhile for me to consider Game Week 26 wildcard if I think I can sort of predict the future a little bit. But no, I think I'm going to be wildcarding either Game Week 28 or much later, which would mean maybe Game Week 31 or Game Week 35. It really depends on whether I want to free hit 29 as well. Happy New Year to you, Benison. Dino says his gut says Palmer, Palace low block. Yeah, but I mean, what Palace low block is it? I mean, they look like a pretty horrific team. I mean, if you can concede 2 goals to Sheffield United, for me, that says a lot. Hey, Khalid, hope you're doing well. Lee Silva says, "Good morning, Fran. Who should you transfer out between Isaac, Eze, Constant, Taylor?" I'd probably go out of Isaac because I think Isaac to Darwin is a very good move for this week. Excuse me. Henry, thank you for being a member for 23 months, almost on that 2-year window now. You need to sell Isaac, Darwin, or Wilson long term. Darwin for sure, and Darwin just for the short term. Okay, I can tell this is going to be an interesting stream with my sickness, but we'll try our best. Zoam says, "Hope you win FPL. I'll try my best." Gabriel over Porro. I just think that first of all, Arsenal are an elite defense. So the question really is Arsenal away from home versus Porro with having a weak matchup. I personally still prefer Gabriel because the clean sheet odds are very good for West Ham. West Ham look pretty dire as of late, and I think there's a good chance to get a clean sheet here. Should I change Porro to Walker? I probably would. I think this is a good home game for Man City. But I mean, if you don't believe in Man City's ability to get clean sheets, you can definitely just play Porro if you want. I think that's totally fine. I am a bit ill, Gautam, so thanks for reaching out. Everyone's a bit ill. Thank you, Mez. Hope you're doing well. Um, I can't respond to everyone's comments because I think I had to kind of skip ahead to the chat just to get to the current ones. Um, bench Trippier or Walker? I'd probably still bench Walker, I think. Is Robertson going to start? I think it's very likely because we have, what was it yesterday? People actually think that Joe Gomez is the one who's got the illness within Liverpool, right? So the chances that Robertson starts, I think, are actually quite high. I'm gonna mute for a second just so you guys don't have to hear that horrific sound. So don't mind. All right, so back to chat questions. Best Estupian, bench Estupian or Gusto? I'd bench Estupian easily. Estupian just has a much worse matchup. Mez says she's currently benching Solanke, have Rich in addition to the template midfield. Tempted to go Watkins to Darwin. Honestly, I think it's totally fine, right? Okay, first of all, Watkins has a good fixture. But actually, the ability to move to Darwin is very good. However, I've also seen some people go Solanke to Darwin, which I think makes a bit more sense because if you think about it, in the short term, let's say you don't want Darwin for Gameweek 26 and beyond. Oh no, not again, not again. Okay, cool. Let's say you don't want Darwin for Gameweek 26 and beyond, right? The best thing about going out of Solanke this week, if you can afford to do so, obviously I know you might not be able to, is that Solanke just doesn't have the same level of fixtures that Watkins does. So if you think about going back into Solanke and giving 26, I think that makes more sense than, let's say, losing Watkins for 2 weeks. Sammy says, is it very risky to not have Nunez in for Gameweek 24 and 25? You've got Jota and Trent. No, I mean, look at me. I mean, I don't have Jota in my team. I'm worried about not having Jota in my team, but it doesn't mean that I have to sort of force Jota into my team. It doesn't make sense for me to do so. So in your situation, I would actually just keep. Actually, I forgot to update my rank in my stream background, so I'll quickly get that updated. But no, my answer simply is that you can't have them all, usually. Maybe I would love to have obviously 6 players this week. I'd love to have Jota, Darwin, Trent. I can't do so. So for me, it's totally fine if you can't do so. Like I'm also losing one player. You've got a really good player over me, and that's fine. -4 for Madison to Jota. I probably wouldn't do it. I think Madison's gonna play. I don't think it's worth a -4. For me, I would just make that a free transfer the next week instead. Chris Chan says, "Hey Fran, I don't have Haaland. Should I bench Alvarez or Watkins?" I'd probably. Well, okay, let's try it. Let's try to wait around and see if we get a Haaland leak. If we get a Haaland leak, we'll find out whether hopefully Alvarez is benched or not, and then obviously you can make a decision. If Haaland is starting, I would actually go Watkins over Alvarez because the issue, of course, when Haaland starts is that takes away from a lot of the ceiling of Alvarez, right? It takes away from him being a penalty taker. It takes away from him being a centre forward. Start Gross / Estupiñán or Watkins. Easily Watkins. Easily Watkins. Bowen to Jota -4. If you want to do so, go for it. The reason why I told the previous person not to go from Madison to Jota for a -4 is because I think Madison actually has a good game. Bowen himself actually has a pretty tough fixture, so I don't really mind it so much. -4 for Estupiñán to Doughty. If that's your third defender, like if you have no one else to play in defense today, other than Estupiñán, then fair enough, go for that move. Got Eze, Palmer, Solanke, and Watkins. I need to acquire Liverpool attacker, probably Jota or Darwizzy. Yep. Who do I get and for who with 1.8 million in the bank? As of right now, I'm leaning to Darwin or -4 for Diogo Jota. I would go Solanke to Darwin if that's an easy move for you. It seems a lot easier than the -4 for Jota, so I would do that. Should you transfer Darwin this week? As I said, I think if it's a comfortable transfer, if it's Solanke to Darwin, for example, I probably would do it. If you should bench one, who would you choose? Saka, Palmer, Solanke? I would not bench Saka. I would not bench Palmer. I would bench Solanke, right? Both Palmer and Solanke have these slightly worse fixtures. They have the away fixtures versus teams that are probably closer to their level. I like Arsenal. I think Arsenal look very good right now. I think Saka, his underlying stats have been very good. Same with Palmer. And they're both midfielders. So I would go with Saka and Palmer first. And then I would actually go Solanke last. Solanke is a forward. less points for goals scored. Um, yes, of course, Fulham are a terrible team, but you'll also see that West Ham and Crystal Palace are actually doing pretty poorly on defense. Crystal Palace, one of our classic good defense, bad attack teams, actually looked like a pretty bad defense recently. So on form, like in terms of, for example, expected goals, and looking at, for example, the last 8 to 10 fixtures, Crystal Palace really don't look very hot. So for that reason, I would very much bench Solanke. If you should bench Darwin or Trent captain is tempting. I switched my vice captaincy. Oh, my vice captaincy is still on Darwin, but I think I'll still no. Actually, I'll still vice Darwin. I mean, I would probably only switch the captaincy if I'm honest, guys. If we get a leak, then everything's possible. I'm going to actually quickly check if we've got any news in the morning. But I do think Haaland will start, so it is what it is. It'll be interesting today to see as well whether we see Stones come back into the team and how that impacts Walker, right? We've seen obviously multiple times with Stones coming in, and Walker has played, but yeah, Captain Haaland or Nunez. Try not to spam the chat, but I would, if you want to climb rank, I would go Nunez. Honestly, I would go Nunez. I'm gonna have to put you in timeout though. Apologies. BL, hope you're doing well. I'm not feeling too well. I hope you're better. On wildcard, what's the best players for 25, 26, 29? Are you saying, for example, let's say you're wildcarding on 24, like what are the best players to get right now? In my opinion, I think you can try and be a little bit more aggressive and go for some United players, because a lot of us think that hopefully United will beat Nottingham Forest. So if United beat Nottingham Forest, then yeah, I mean, in theory they have a blank on Gameweek 29, so it's not great. But I do think Garnacho is worthy of sort of being a wild card team. Huang as well is sort of worthy of being a wild card team, just so you can actually get him from Gameweek 26. In terms of 25, I think it just makes sense to go double Liverpool, maybe triple if you really want to. But also keep in mind that if you go for a Luton player, or two Luton players, particularly if you go for one of the goalkeepers, that could be better set up as well, considering Gameweek 28 and having a goalkeeper there. Neto sort of makes sense to me as well as one of the goalkeepers, because if you're trying to plan for the future, Neto is a potential goalkeeper who, first of all, well, actually, you could maybe bench Kaminsky. It's quite tough though, actually, because I think you have to plan for a double for this week as well. I would still go. I would probably go Kaminsky Neto. It doesn't feel great, and it sort of forces and first of all, you'd have the opportunity to bench boost on 28, which is not great. But still, Neto is a potential keeper who could, I think he could double on Game Week 37. Alternatively, you could actually just put someone like Leno in your team, who we think will also double on Game Week 37, and you can make moves like that. Who did I sub in? I subbed in Gabriel for Porro. Bench one, Gabriel, Gross, Walker, Porro. I'd probably bench Porro. Porro, Robertson. I'd definitely start Robertson, because I think Robertson can start if we think Gomez is ill, and a lot of people do think Gomez is ill. Hey, Fran, should I go from Nelly to Jota? I think Martinelli to Jota is an amazing move. Yeah, go for it. Did you hear on the Liverpool flu outbreak? I did indeed, and I apparently have caught the flu as well. So here I am sick. As I was making a joke on Twitter, I said that the last Liverpool player that I met was Jota, but he I don't know if he's sick or not. That was just a joke. Bring in Walker this week or next week. I would wait for next week to go for Walker. A lot of you guys have Trippier, you have Porro, you have Gabriel. These sorts of players I would still play maybe, ahead of Walker without, like, yes, of course I'd play Walker ahead of Porro, as you can see in my team. But do I think Walker is essential for this game week? Not really. Sorry, Fran. Gabriel or Trip to start. I'd probably actually go Trippier. I just think you have the attacking upside there, and they have similar levels of games when it comes to defense. Obviously, Arsenal's a much better defense now compared to Newcastle. Do I think Livramento starts? I'm not sure. I mean, I think Dan Burn will probably start again. I know Dan Burn got torched last week, but it does still feel quite unlikely for me for Livramento to start. Cyril the Squirrel says, "Hey, Fran, the current plan is Porro to Doughty and Archer to Holland. Is selling Porro a better option than Palmer to fund the move, or moving to Holland straight through Solanke? Okay, let's say you sold Palmer. Like who would you be getting this week? Are you saying that you can go Palmer to Jota? Probably not, right? Because you have to save even more money from Palmer. So yeah, I would probably sell Porro. Another thing to think about too is if let's say you're someone who's selling Porro, you can always go for Udogi, right? Because Porro right now his buyback price is insane. It's like 5.9. Whereas Udogi actually, I think he's still sub 5 million, right? So I'd probably just go for Udogi. Captain Jota or Haaland, I would just still go Haaland. Unless we find out that Haaland is leaked, then we can go for a Liverpool player. Actually, let's do a quick poll. Let's do a captaincy poll. I actually think that for me, these are probably the only viable picks. Maybe you could say it's KDB, but I think his minutes could be a bit suspect. We don't have early team news now, but I think we could see KDB benched today. A lot of people are predicting KDB bench for some reason. Who did I transfer in? I did not transfer anybody in. This was I just rolled. I rolled. Adebayo for captain. Bench Gordon. I would bench Gordon because he wasn't in training this week, and I think it's very unlikely that he's going to get very good minutes. Do you think taking a hit to selling Trent Alexander-Arnold for Virgil van Dijk to free up money is a smart idea? No, I don't think so. I think what I would do, because Connor Bradley is out this week, so if you own Trent Alexander-Arnold, I would not sell Trent this week. So I would wait for Connor Bradley to come back, which means that I would enjoy Trent for this week, make some moves around Trent, and then, or maybe just roll, right? If you can roll, roll. Next week, you can make that decision where you can think about, okay, I want to take Trent out of my team. I want to make better moves. Estupiñán or McTominay? Are you talking about like transfers in, or are you talking about people already within your team? I'd probably play McTominay. Darwin out for Haaland. I don't love that move, to be honest. I would actually not do that. Do you think Gabriel Jesus will start? I can't confirm that, sorry. Bench 1, Palmer, Saka, Foden, Watkins. Palmer? I'd probably bench Palmer. But, yeah. It's close between Palmer and Watkins for me, actually. Oscar says, love the content. Who would you bench out of Watkins, Solanke, Saka, and Palmer? Yeah, this is the different situation. I would always bench Solanke versus Palmer this week. Never been more confused this game week. What's the confusion? Get Darwin or Adebayo. I would go Darwin. I think Darwin just has a much better fixture. And Darwin could be on penalties, right? If Szoboszlai is injured for 6 to 7 weeks or 3 to 4 weeks, whatever the timeline is, you've got Darwin on penalties potentially. Thoughts on Tony Captain as a differential? I don't like it. I think, first of all, there's other teams with home fixtures that are better. And, like, I would not ignore... If I wanted to ignore Haaland captain, I would ignore it by going to a Liverpool player. Or Richarlison if you really wanted to. I probably wouldn't go Tony. Who should I get in defense? I think Doughty's a good transfer, but first of all, I'd probably prioritize Van Dijk or Trent. Captain Jota or Darwin? I'd probably go Jota or Darwin. I think both are fine. If you have both, I would probably actually go with Darwin because I would tend to think that he's a penalty taker still. What Villa defender would you go with if money isn't an issue? I'd probably go Diego Carlos, right? Because right now he's actually fit. He's ready to play this week. And he's probably going to last until Gameweek 26 and beyond because there's so many injuries in the squad. Porro to Trippier for the long term. It doesn't make sense to me because, okay, fine, Trippier covers you for Gameweek 26, but he actually has a really bad game. He's got Arsenal. And actually, if you look at Trippier's long-term fixtures, I think it's worse than Porro. I actually probably plan... If let's say I don't wildcard in Gameweek 26, I probably plan on keeping Porro. I mean, look at these fixtures. Wolves, Crystal Palace. Okay, fine. Aston Villa's a bad game, but Fulham, Luton, West Ham, Nottingham Forest. Like that run of games is insane. So when I talk about Trippier, well, we'd have to look at Trippier, wouldn't we? First of all, you have a potential Game Week 29 blank with Trippier because if they win in the FA Cup, he's an issue. But the fixtures are pretty good for Trippier as well. Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Wolves, Chelsea probably not a great fixture. Crystal Palace, good fixture. West Ham, Everton, good fixture. So you could go to Trippier, but the issue now is, think about this. If you go from Porro to Trippier this week, the issue that leaves your team is that you're actually spending more money on a single game weaker who could blank. Whereas Porro is going to blank as well, but he's a cheaper asset. So that's sort of the way that I think that Trippier doesn't make too much sense right now. I'm going to end the poll there. Haaland seems to be very clear captain. Some people are tempted in Liverpool, which is totally fine. Dubravka to Alisson for -4. I wouldn't do it for -4. I mean, I've got the chance to do it this week, and I'm still not doing it. I would do it as if, let's say you have 2 free transfers and you could do it. I would do it. Best wildcard draft. I've made a wildcard draft in chat. Oh, teacher, thank you so much. Just dropping by to say hi because I think you're doing amazing right now. Thank you. Hope you're doing well and hope your family's well as well. Take care. Should I sell Saliba or Porro for Walker? I'd sell Porro. I mean, Saliba's going to play for Gameweek 26, so there's, a little bit of added impact there. Start Doku or Palmer? I'd start Palmer because I think Doku will start this fixture, but early sub is pretty likely, and Palmer's a penalty taker and probably going to play 90 minutes. So that's your sort of answer. Free at 29 still viable? I think so. A lot of people are going to plan for free at 29 or free at 34. I'll make a video on this. I just couldn't make a video this week because I was sick, unfortunately, as you can tell right now. So because of that, I haven't really been able to plan ahead. But I would very much do the move where I just play Palmer. Fran, thoughts on Huang for Gameweek 25? So if Huang is one of your 2 transfers, and let's say you're trying to save money on someone like Eze, for example, and that allows you to get an upgrade elsewhere, I think that makes a lot of sense as a move. But Huang, obviously, independently on Gameweek 25 has a bad fixture, so he doesn't need to be used. But Gameweek 26, of course, Huang is amazing. Should I sell KDB to afford Haaland next week? If it's not going to be a hit, I think I would do so. Porro to Doughty for -4. I probably wouldn't do it for -4. I would just play Porro this week. Am I set on captaincy? If we get a leak, I'm not set on captaincy at all. How many transfers do I have? Only 1, but obviously by this time next week I'll have 2 because I'm rolling. Sell Watkins so I can open up avenues to other players like triple Liverpool. I'm not sure if that's worth it, right? My question would probably be, do you need to go triple Liverpool this week? Because I think Watkins still has a good game. Otherwise, of course, if you want to go Watkins out, then fair enough, go for it. Why no Luton players? I mean, this is the best fixture of their season, but I just have a very good team this week, and I don't see the need to go for a Luton player. For example, I don't think Adebayo is better than Watkins, even though Adebayo has scored a hat-trick this season. So that's my opinion. With Doughty, I think he's probably better than Gabriel and Walker, but is it worth the transfer? Probably not. With Kaminsky, once again, probably better than Dubravka, but is it worth a transfer? Probably not. So the issue is that whatever I bring in from let's say Luton next week, of course they have a good fixture, right? It's a double game week, so there's a high chance, of course, that they could do well. But then actually, I also think about it, and they're no different to, let's say, owning Liverpool. And by game week 28, of course, they will have another double. But I think it makes more sense to actually own Luton players for that double as opposed to this double. So I'd rather a Liverpool player for this double. What is my total points? Let's have a look. 1475. So there's your answer. Any team news? I don't see any team news right now. Apologies, I'll have to sneeze again. Fran, I've just wildcarded. Oh, good luck. What 2 keepers to keep on a wildcard? Currently have Flecken and Neto. I would probably go Kaminsky and Neto because actually it's not worth it, right? Because I guess you could ruin yourself for gaming 29. Yeah, fine, go Flecken and Neto. I think it makes sense because obviously if you go Flecken and Neto, you get the double next week, and you also get the double on Gaming 28, and then also you get Flecken playing in Gaming 29. Start Gross or Andreas. I'd probably start I'd probably start Andreas, actually. Foden, Tony, Jota, or Foden, Darwin, Doughty. I'd probably go Foden, Darwin, Doughty, personally. Because Doughty is a little bit more of a long-term pick than Tony, I would say. Because it's very likely that you might not want Tony within your team, even after the double. Whereas with Doughty, of course, he's going to get another double. So there's that. Sell Palmer or Morgan Gibbs White. MGW plays 26 and probably 29 as well. I'd probably sell Palmer. But what I would probably do as well is sell Palmer next week, if it's possible. Start Estupiñán or Luton defender. Easily a Luton defender. I don't think it's close. I would bench Estupiñán within a heartbeat. Would you start Son? I'd probably be tempted to, but if you have someone who's actually a capable defender, or like, let's say, a replacement option, I would go for it. Mo says he's in 10 minds. He's got Gabriel, Estupiñán, Taylor, Lascelles, Porro. How should I approach? He's got De Bruyne. First of all, I think your team's actually very good as it stands. What I would probably do actually is just make a transfer around Gordon if possible. If you can get from, let's say, Gordon to Jota, I think that's ideal. It doesn't seem, maybe it's not possible, to be fair. So maybe I would actually go Gordon to someone like Luis Diaz. You could also go Doughty as well within your defense. I think those are really the only two realistic options you can go for. Sell Saka for Foden. I wouldn't do so this week. I'd probably go for Foden next week instead. Walker and Allison or Virgil van Dijk and Ederson. I'd probably go Walker and Allison. I'm concerned about being stuck with 3 Liverpool for Gameweek 26. Yeah, exactly. So let's say you actually have Allison on the bench, right, as your goalkeeper. You probably can actually have a replacement goal. Like you probably have a replacement goalkeeper who could play ahead of Allison anyways. And that could benefit you like so. Whereas let's say if you own Virgil van Dijk, you are 100% forced probably to take a transfer out of him. You've got Jota and Darwin as well. Yeah, exactly. Case in point. Like, I think if you own triple Liverpool and they're all outfield players, not non-goalkeepers, you literally have to replace them. You have to replace them for Game 26. So you probably have to take a hit. But I think it might be easier, actually, to get away with Alisson than let's say, Virgil van Dijk. Konsa to Ake or Walker. I'd probably go Guardiola. Like, right now, the two City defenders I'd go for is either Guardiola or Walker. Is Kaminsky a good move? I think he's a decent move, but he's definitely not worth a hit. Porro, Walker, and Gabriel. I would just start the 2 players that I have. I'm going to have to put you on timeout, though, just because we don't want spam in the chat. Roshan says, is it worth a hit for Gusto to Doughty? I don't think so. I would just play Gusto. Gabriel, Bruno, or Porro. I'd play Bruno and Gabriel. Or if you really only can play one, I would just probably risk it and still go Bruno. We all Palmer lovers. Say no to benching him. Okay. And Kunku to Tony, Eze to Barkley, Turner to Allison. You don't want to take another hit. Do you think it's fine to look to bring in Darwin? Look, I'll be honest with you right now. If you can bring in Darwin and Jota this week, I would do it this week, right? Darwin or Jota have better fixtures than Tony this week. Jota has better fixtures than Barkley. The only fixture that's actually good is Allison's. Compared to, let's say, the quality that, Liverpool are facing Burnley at home. I would still take a Liverpool player over a Luton player playing Sheffield United at home. Does that make sense? The same thing with Tony as well. Why would I want Tony this week when I have Darwin versus Burnley? If you don't want Darwin, if you're going to get Darwin next week, you might as well get Darwin next week and then get Tony when he doubles as well. So I'd reverse the logic of the transfers. Fran, what do you think of my Gameweek 24 team? Trent, Saliba, Walker, Palmer, KDB, Richarlison, Jota, Solanke, Watkins, Haaland. Lovely team. No complaints. How many doublers do I plan for Gameweek 28? Probably 3. 3 at best. Keep Solanke this week or transfer out. I think if you can allow yourself to think that you can go out of Solanke in the short term and then bring him back when he has good fixtures, let's say Gameweek 27 or Gameweek 26, I would just do that. I don't really mind the whole hokey-cokey between Darwin and Solanke. I think that's fine. Captain Jota, if you want to. I think it's a very good move. Like, my vice is on Darwin, but I think obviously if I had Jota, I'd probably vice him as well. I still think Darwin's on penalties. You might disagree. If you think Jota's on penalties, I would probably do it. Hi, Fran. Congrats on the season so far. I have a single move this week. Do you think it's better to save it or make a swapping for Jota? Saka for Jota or Porro for Walker? I don't love Saka for Jota, but if I had to make a move between the two you suggested, I would go Saka to Jota. I do like the idea though that you mentioned to save it for next week. Why am I benching Porro over Gabriel? Just clean sheet odds basically, coming down to that really. Really bad clean sheet odds for Tottenham. I mean they still look like a horrible defense. Excuse me, and yeah, Gabriel. Hopefully versus a very weak West Ham team. We've seen it before, obviously, and it didn't work out so well for us Arsenal players. But I think the fixture is good enough for Gabriel to play him. And yeah, I think it's close enough for me to bench Porro. Palmer or Garnacho to start? Palmer easily. I mean, Garnacho has an away fixture that's pretty tough, and he's not a penalty taker. So there's your answer. Most fresh trim fan. Thank you very much. How many hits? Oh, that message was deleted. Should I sell Gusto for Virgil van Dijk for -4? Maybe. I think it's an okay move. I actually quite like it. If you're forced to play Gusto, I would probably do it. Should I double on Luton defense this week or play Estupiñán and thank? I'd probably actually play double Luton defense. Buy Darwin or Adebayo Morris. Darwin for me easily. Bench Palmer or Watkins. It's a good question. I'd probably bench Watkins, but I'd feel quite bad about doing it. It's very close for me. I'd bench Watkins, but it's very, very close. Do you think Haaland is essential? Well, no, but let's say you go. Okay, I probably if you had to compare Kevin De Bruyne with Haaland, I'd say Haaland is clear because I think he'll play more minutes. As weird as that sounds, but if you ask me the question of, let's say, is KDB someone who's worth transferring for Haaland? I'd also say no. So if you've already made your bed, I would say lie in it for Gameweek 25. But if you haven't made that decision already, I would go Haaland. Alex P, so thank you so much for the super chat. Luis Diaz or Jota in? Definitely Jota for me. Porro or Trippier out? I'd go Porro just because you probably want Trippier on Gaming 26, and Trippier's still a good pick ultimately. So if you ever want to bring Trippier out, I guess you could do so later down the line. But for me, I'd probably take Porro out. The big thing is obviously Luis Diaz versus Jota is a case where Luis Diaz has much worse underlying stats compared to Jota. So as long as Jota is going to play football, which he probably is because of Salah's fitness condition, I think that Jota's still the better transfer this week. Like for me, I can only go Eze to Luis Diaz myself, but I probably wouldn't do it because I actually don't really want Diaz to bench Palmer or Diaz to bench Watkins. However, if let's say I had the chance to go for Jota, I might actually consider it more seriously. So that sort of hopefully gives you a little bit of a clue as to how much I rate Jota over Luis Diaz. But that's life, right? So I might have to go Luis Diaz next week if it makes more sense for my team. Start Lamptey or Estupiñán. I'd probably go Lamptey. Gross to Jota. I think that's a lovely move. I'd go for it. Best 5 million defender. You mean below 5 million, I guess? Well, I guess Gabriel doesn't count anymore. I'd say Doughty. Yep. Start Raya or Dubravka. I'd start Raya. Trippier and Gabriel. Yeah, I would just play Trippier and Raya. Because, for example, with Raya, I think he's got the better clean sheet odds, so I go with Raya. With Trippier, I think he's a better attacker, so I'd go with Trippier. And there's not as much of a gap between, let's say, Porro and... Like, I think Porro and Trippier, even on attack, there's still a gulf there, right? Even though Porro's a very good attacker, I think Trippier still is a much, much better attacker. And so, yeah, when you do these comparisons between Trippier and Gabriel, then that's where I think that the gulf of Trippier being a very, very world-class attacker, within the setup of Newcastle is very useful. Raz says the problem is the only player he can take out for Darwin is Alvarez, and you don't want to take out Saka for Jota. You can do Gordon to Jota, but you'd have to downgrade Trent. Yeah, I probably wouldn't do any of those moves, but I don't mind Darwin for Alvarez. Abdul Rahman says, sell Watkins and Bowen for Jota and Adebayo and get KDB next week. I honestly wouldn't plan to get KDB next week for the double. Like, I would rather maximize the short term, go for maybe Jota and Darwin, and then make some moves around that instead. Porro or any Luton defense. I would go for a Luton defender over Porro. But you can keep Porro as well. Like, I'm happy to have Porro on my bench. Hope you win FPL. I hope I win FPL as well. I'll try my best. Porro, yeah, sorry. Jota for Richarlison -4. I don't think it's worth a -4. Play Porro Saliba. I'd probably play Porro actually, because I think still Gabriel is probably Arsenal's key set piece threat. So that's a small little consideration for me. Whereas Porro, or rather Saliba, is probably less so. So yeah, I'd probably go Porro over Saliba. Start one, Porro, Estupiñán, Dawson. I'd go Porro. Good morning, Fran. Why is no one considering Palmer captain? Away from home. Other people have home fixtures. I think that's it, really. That's the only response I can give you. Like, Liverpool players have Burnley at home. That's all I have to say. And then, of course, Haaland is Haaland. Thank you, Seller. Really appreciate that. I'm glad you've enjoyed your first FPL season. Who to captain, Jota or Haaland? I'd probably captain Haaland, but if we get a leak that Haaland's out, well, Jota's right there. Who's more important, Darwin or Darwin? For a -4, Martin. I hope that was your actual super chat. Well, first of all, thank you for the super chat. Do let me know. I mean, you can just drop a message in the chat. I'll look out for it. If you're comparing Darwin to someone else, but obviously, the question is Darwin or Darwin, so I would say Darwin. But let me know. Oh, Darwin or Virgil van Dijk? I would still go Darwin, my friend, because Salah's out. Darwin was benched last week. I think Darwin has a much better fixture this week. So I would go Darwin. Virgil van Dijk is very nice, though. So, I mean, if you could get Virgil next week, I think Virgil's very, very, very good. Bench one, Porro Gusto. Gabriel. I'd probably bench Gusto, actually. Mate, isn't it difficult to wake up so early? Yeah, it is a little bit difficult. It's also difficult when you're sick, which is what I am right now. But here we are. Any Man City leaks? Not that I can see. Should I bench Gross or Odegaard? I'd probably bench Gross. Like, this is one of Brighton's worst fixtures on their really, really good run. So I would just play Odegaard. Are you making a transfer this week? Nope, I'm rolling. Should I start Estupiñán or Gusto? I'd probably play Gusto. But if you want to make that transfer to Doughty, I think it makes sense. Keep in mind, though, of course, if you transfer Estupiñán out for Doughty, the issue is that probably leaves you with one more blanker in Gameweek 26, which is not ideal. Jota or Diaz for -4? I would go Jota. If you're going to make a -4, I'd go Jota. I bring Haaland in for Alvarez and Luis Diaz for Salah and Doughty for Colwill. All in -4. I think that's fine. I don't really like Luis Diaz for Salah, but obviously I know you need to bring in Haaland, so that's fine. I'm also going to put you in timeout because you're spamming the chat. Who would you bench? De Bruyne, Foden, Saka, Palmer, Richarlison, Haaland, Darwin, or Watkins? I'd probably pick between... Well, hopefully we get a City League, first of all, so do stay tuned for that, Lorenzo. But I would say Palmer, Watkins, and I'd probably bench Watkins. Play Porro, Gusto. I'd probably play Porro. Dallo or Porro to play this week? I'd say Porro once again. Like, Aston Villa away is a tough game. Mo says, I can get Jota if I sell Porro to Brathwaite, but my defense becomes very weak. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Richarlison captain okay. I think it's totally fine. I think it's a very good pick, actually. If you're confident Richarlison will play really good minutes, that's fine. But keep in mind, of course, Son is on the bench. So Son could take away minutes from Richarlison as well. Juan Nunez or Jota Adebayo? I would go Juan Nunez easily. Pinch Gabriel Porro. I'd probably bench Porro. Is Alvarez to Darwin okay? I think that's totally fine. It's a good move. Play Gross over Pedro Porro? Yes. It's close, but I'd probably play Gross. I'm not bringing Jota. I can't afford him with one free transfer, so I'm not going to do it. Bench Bowen or who's Sam's? I'm kind of confused. Buy Diaz and Walker or Foden and Guardiola? Foden and Guardiola for me. What moves am I making? Next week, I'm probably going to... I'm not going to bring in Jota today, guys. I can't bring in Jota. What moves am I making? I've got no moves to make. I'm just rolling. Bench Bowen or Saka? How many hits am I planning before Gameweek 29? Am I wildcard 27? I haven't decided on my chip strategy, if you guys believe me. So we'll see. I'm gonna think about it more this week. I'm also gonna think about it more, looking ahead towards, of course, the future. My team sucks for Gameweek 26. That's the reality, right? So I might even wildcard 26, but that is a crazy gamble. It only really makes sense to wildcard 27 beyond because you'll have information. So I'll have to think about it. I don't think it's a mistake bringing Huang. I think Huang's a great pick. Huang is going to be amazing for Gameweek 26 as well. So, yeah. Just wanted to say thank you for answering all our questions patiently and giving us your expert input. Thank you so much, Nirupam. Appreciate you. Bench Watkins or Solanke. I'd bench Solanke easily. Solanke to Holland for -4. Yeah, I would do it. Hey, Fran, play Van Heck or Porro? I'd play Porro. You're asking because -8 before 28. I mean, look, it depends on the -8, guys, right? Let's say you don't have a good team for Gameweek 26. You have to take a -8. I think that's fine. If you're taking a -8 for Gameweek 28 just to maximize on Bournemouth Luton doubles, maybe not so much. If you're taking, let's say, -8s for Liverpool players who are about to play Burnley and then Luton at home, and yeah, why not? So it really just depends on what the hit you're actually taking is. Like, I can't just objectively say a hit is bad because hits sometimes are actually very valid, and that's fine. That's FPL. Esteban for Virgil. I like that move a lot. Is Darwin essential? I don't think so. Which team's blanking Gameweek 26? Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, Luton. I mean, Chelsea versus Tottenham could, in theory, very, very small chance could still be played, but I don't think it's possible. Start Bowen or Ross Barkley? Ross Barkley. Captain Holland or Neto? Is that a serious question? Do we mean like Neto, like the Wolves player Neto? Holland, please. Anyone? Would you play Adebayo over anyone in your team? I mean, if Adebayo was the defender, sure. No, I wouldn't play him. I wouldn't play him over anyone in this team. Not at all. Next week maybe I would, but not this week. Garnacho versus Huang on wildcard. I would go Huang just because of Gameweek 26. I know what you mean though in terms of blank Gameweek 29, but I still think both players actually have a pretty high chance of blanking. So, thoughts on Trent? I mean, Connor Bradley is out for personal reasons once again, so Trent for me is a wonderful transfer. Bench Bowen or Ross Barkley. Bowen. I'd bench Bowen. Who to bench, Son or Watkins? I'd bench Son because we can't guarantee that he starts. Richie to Jota. I don't like that move. Just to repeat, yeah, I would captain Darwin if you're chasing rank. I absolutely would. Fran, I have Gusto and Guehi. Should I bring Van Heck and Knight Nuri instead of Luton assets or even Powell? Why not captain Foden? Okay, let's do the Foden over Haaland discussion, right? How many times has Foden scored a career hat-trick? How many times has Haaland scored a career hat-trick? There's your answer. If you want to take the person with the most chances of scoring goals every week, I would go with Haaland. If you want to have a crystal ball, I would go with Foden. The reality is that if you had to bet every week who's going to score more goals, it's always going to be Haaland. So I'm always going to captain Haaland over Foden. And that's it. If suddenly Foden's underlying stats are off the roof and Haaland's aren't, then I will change my mind. But until that day happens, I will go Haaland captain every day over Foden. Thank you, Boaz. I appreciate that. Got the trim yesterday, actually. Sell Palmer or Gordon? I'd probably sell Palmer still. But it also depends, right? Palmer is amazing this week. So if you have someone amazing that you can replace Palmer with and you're going to start them anyways, sell Palmer. But Gordon, let's be honest, will cover you for Game Week 26. But is he that good of a pick in general right now because of the injury and because of Barnes coming back? Maybe not so much. I'd still sell Palmer though, just because I think I can't guarantee that you're going to free at 29, right? Gordon might blank and free at 29, but so will Palmer. So that's the reality. Start Pau Torres or Dan Burn this week. I'd probably start Dan Burn. Is Estupiñán becoming a sell? Actually, no. So the biggest thing for people who own Estupiñán is that Jack Hinchelwood, the sort of right wing back for Brighton, he's injured. So that actually probably means that Lamptey, who took minutes away from Estupiñán last week, is actually probably going to move to the right. And that probably should allow for Estupiñán to play. Now, the issue with Estupiñán, of course, is he hasn't been playing well, and Veltman is also pretty close to full fitness. So if Veltman comes back and Estupiñán continues to stink it up, then of course Estupiñán is a sell. But right now, because of the Hinchelwood injury, I don't think Estupiñán is a sell. Start Raya or Benteke today? Yeah, it's a good question. Do you think Hwang starts this week? I think he does. Foden or Jota to replace, but I prefer Jota's single game week fixture versus Burnley, so I would go Jota. Wildcard activated, 3 Liverpool, 3 City, 3 Luton, 3 Newcastle, 2 Brentford, and 1 Spurs. So that means you'll have 6 blankers for Gaming 26. 7, actually. I don't know if I love it. How are you going to fix your situation for Gaming 26? And then actually, Gaming 29, triple Newcastle. If Newcastle beat Blackburn, you're in trouble. Because your Liverpool players, your Newcastle players, these are all the blankers from Gaming 29. And the only team that doesn't really blank that's actually good is Brentford and Spurs. So you'll have 3 players from there, which is fine. That's good. But City will also blank too. So you need to have to think about that, in my opinion. Captain Jota. I think, yeah, if you're looking for a sort of rank chasing pick, I think Jota's fine. Richarlison plus Jota. João Pedro for Barkley to Holland -4. I would not do that. I'd probably replace João Pedro with Adebayo if you really want to, because João Pedro's injured. Van Heck or Porro? I'd play Porro. Is it worth to replace Gross for -4? No, it's not worth the -4. -4 for Doughty? Nope, not for me. -4 Estupiñán to Virgil? I think that makes sense. Yeah, I'd prefer Virgil over Doughty, like, clearly this week. Just because next week is really good for Virgil as well. I will drink more water. It's just that I'm actually sick. I'm sick right now, so that's why my throat is so coarse. But you know what? You made a good suggestion there. I'm gonna go get some water, and I'll be back. Sorry, guys. All right, let's go back. Well, I was laughing at UMF spammers. Someone asked me why Gabriel over Porro. I just think it's the difference in terms of clean sheets, really. And obviously, Gabriel is still a pretty good set piece threat. Someone asked Ake versus Guardiola, and I said Guardiola because I think Guardiola's more nailed ultimately, right? We've got players like Akanji who can kind of replace the position of Ake. But if you look at how advanced Guardiola's playing, like for example, in the top left corner of the pitch, I do really prefer Guardiola's role. So yeah, rookie mistake. Well, I'm sick, so do forgive me. No Jota or Darwin. Would you take a hit to bring one of them in? Well, it really depends on if the players are trying to replace for a -4. If they have a bad fixture, then yeah, go for it. But if you have really good players like Richarlison, for example, I wouldn't replace Richarlison for Jota this week. Or if you've got, for example, Watkins, I still probably wouldn't do it. Would you get Hee-Chan for Gordon or just play Porro? I'd just play Porro. Do you think Zinchenko to Van Dijk for a -4 is a good move? I think that's okay because actually, of course, there's a high chance that Zinchenko might not play. I've already answered the question about Gabriel versus Porro. As I said, it's just clean sheet odds, and I don't think Porro's going to keep a clean sheet as well. Surely I'm no longer muted, right? I hope I'm not, guys. That would be embarrassing. Hey, Fran, love the content as always. Jota plus Haaland for Alvarez plus Saka, or Adebayo plus Haaland for Alvarez plus Solanke. I'd probably go Adebayo plus Haaland. I don't think I'm on mute anymore. You might be a bit delayed, so maybe you can refresh the stream if that's okay. Porro or Guardiola? I'd go Guardiola. So actually, one thing I wanted to say about Guardiola, right, is if you're watching Man City right now, like Guardiola is super advanced, and I don't think anyone in that City team right now can replace that role. I'm not saying that necessarily allows Guardiola to attack more than other defenders, because of course Ake is a huge set piece threat for Man City. But the question, of course, is can you guarantee minutes? And I think Guardiola can guarantee those minutes, whereas I don't think Ake can. And yes, I'm actually quite sick, so that's why there's that. Do you think there'll be City team leaks? I think it's possible. We usually get City team leaks, so I'm waiting for them. Olise is actually out for 2 months, I believe. So that's quite long, my friend. You probably want to transfer him out immediately. Estupiñán or Doughty? I'd probably just play Doughty. Hi, Fran. Solanke to Darwin. I think that's a very good move. Areola. What about Areola? Can you do a quick wildcard 24 draft, please? So I did a video on wildcard 24. I don't think my mind has really changed on any of the players. What you could do obviously within that draft is just go Son to Jota and just call it a day. And if you can upgrade anyone within that draft, I would do so. Porro to Virgil van Dijk. I think that makes sense as a move. Like I've got the chance to go Virgil van Dijk, but I don't really want to go Virgil, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Like I like Porro to Virgil, but it also depends on do you have other issues in your team to sort of fix, right? Because Porro is a very good pick after Gameweek 26. Let's say after Gameweek 26, you might actually want to bring back Porro at one point in time. So if that's the case, you probably want to keep Porro if you have some transfer value stored up. If you don't have transfer value stored up in Porro, I would probably actually make that move and just go away to Virgil van Dijk already, like you suggested. Dan, thank you so much for the super chat. Leno or Dubravka? And also, which one should I bench? Trippier, Pedro Porro, Saliba, Estupiñán. I'd probably actually go Leno, to be honest. Newcastle, their underlying stats as a defense have dropped off a cliff. I myself don't really want to play Dubravka, but Areola has a much worse game. So I would go Leno in your situation. And then your question is Trippier, Pedro Porro, Saliba, Estupiñán. First of all, I think Estupiñán should be benched because Estupiñán has the worst fixture. And that's pretty much it. I don't think Estupiñán or Porro are going to keep clean sheets. And then it comes down to the attacking point of view. I think Porro probably actually has better chances of getting an attacking outlet, and still a slightly smaller chance of getting a clean sheet in this fixture. So yeah, I would actually go Porro, Trippier, and Saliba. Not to mention as well, of course, Estupiñán's minutes have been dicey. So yes, even though Hinchelwood is out of the squad, maybe there's a crazy situation where Estupiñán still gets benched. Jota to Richarlison, I probably wouldn't do it. If you're chasing, I do think a Jota Darwin captaincy or even a Trent captaincy could make sense. I probably wouldn't do it unless we get Haaland news that he's out. We did a captaincy poll earlier, guys. I think it was 70% Holland, around 25% Liverpool captain, and 5% Richarlison. Are you crazy for considering Palmer captain? Potentially, potentially. I don't love Palmer captain this week. Joe Fox, thank you for the super chat. Start Gross or Solanke. I would go Solanke here. First of all, I think Tottenham is still a slightly tougher fixture. For me, Solanke versus Fulham is amazing. You still have access. Okay, to be fair, Gross is going to be on penalties. Didn't actually think about this. That's actually an interesting one. Gross is going to be on penalties. I still think Tottenham's a tougher game, though. So I would go Solanke. I think Solanke still has the easier fixture. So both penalty takers, both 90-minute players, but Solanke goal threat just that much higher. So if you look at the open play stats for Solanke, I still think that they're very clear of Gross. So I would go Solanke. FM, thank you so much for your first super chat on the live stream. Appreciate you being around. Olise to Richarlison and Solanke. Yeah, I actually really like those moves because obviously Olise is out for a while. The only thing I don't like so much is that, Richarlison is technically a Gameweek 26 blanker. Now, of course, because Olise is injured, technically he is as well. But I wonder if there's any move outside of Richarlison that you can do. If Richarlison is that break point in price, then fair enough. If you could go Olise to Jota, Solanke to Nunez, I would do that, but maybe it's not possible for your budget. So, yeah, I really like the moves. I particularly like Solanke to Nunez. But yeah, let me know, of course, if there's any alternatives to Richarlison. But in general, if you're forced to do this move, I think Richarlison, first of all, has a really good fixture this week, so I would take that move. Jota or Haaland captaincy. As I said, I would go Haaland, but if we get news about Haaland being out, we could definitely switch. Zain Kazi, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you have a question? Anyways, thank you guys so much for the super chats. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Zain, if you can let me know what your message is, or drop me a message on the chat, whatever your question is, then I can answer that. Okay, so your question is, hey Fran, -4 for Konsa and Solanke to Van Heck and Darwin. Already have Gabriel, Saliba, and Trent, or Konsa to Guardiola free transfer. I would actually take the hit. The reason being, Guardiola, this is still probably not one of the best fixtures for Guardiola. And ultimately, I don't think Konsa is going to last you till Game Week 26. Van Heck right now, his minutes seem very, very good. So I think you'd still be confident that Van Heck's actually a good transfer for sort of planning ahead to Game Week 26. You don't necessarily need to play Van Heck. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I know that you're probably going for Van Heck because you need to go for Van Heck for budget. And Solanke to Darwin for me is a good enough upgrade over the next 2 weeks where I would say it makes sense to take that -4. So yeah, I would go for that move. Guardiola or Walker? I'd probably go Guardiola actually right now. I think he looks brilliant, and right now feels like he fits the team like a glove. And that sort of specific formation versus Brentford as well, very, very cool to see the sort of positions that Guardiola takes. Play Gabriel or Doughty? I would probably go Doughty. Dominic, you're my favorite content creator. Thank you so much. Quick question: would you play Bowen this week or take a -4 for? I would take the -4 for Jota. Honestly, it is one of Bowen's worst matchups, and I would just take that -4. And this is Jota with a brilliant fixture. I mean, Jota Burnley at home, I think, is better than Luton at home. So that's my opinion. Would probably have to take PP out for Doughty Guardiola. And I think that's fine as well, like, if you have to. I can briefly check your team on Discord. I think you could probably just benefit from Gordon to Jota and probably that's it, right? I mean, you could obviously go Alvarez to Haaland as well, but I think Gordon might be questionable. I'd probably actually go Jota as well. Like, I think it's actually quite powerful to do that, actually. So I'd probably do that first. Those are the two players that I'd sort of prioritize. You play Porro and Gabriel. I think it's totally fine. Like, Porro, I think, is a very good pick. I don't really want to bench him, but I'm in this situation that I have benched him, and I don't regret it too much. I think it's totally fine to bench Porro. We just have to make that decision ultimately. Also, Everton just looked pretty poor, so that's why I've gone for Walker as well. But who knows? They could just score. E7, thank you so much for your first super chat. Bowen out for Foden or Jota? Foden plays Gaming26. Yes, that's correct. That's true. Yeah, I'd probably go Foden then if it's an issue about Gaming26 as well. But personally, I still think that Jota over the next two fixtures has probably a little bit more upside than Foden, if I just thought about the fixtures intuitively. But you're right, though. Foden actually gives you an additional fixture for Gaming26. So if you have to go Bowen out and you have the choice of both, I would still go with Foden first. That's why I made the transfer to Foden a couple of weeks ago myself. Start Ake or Gabriel. I'd probably go Gabriel still. Early kickoff captain. I mean, what happened to early kickoff for when Richarlison played last week? Excuse me. Is Watkins to Darwin and Estupiñán to Walker a good move? I don't love Watkins to Darwin, if I'm honest. I prefer Solanke to Darwin, but it is what it is. I think it's an okay move if it's not for a hit. Jota or Darwin, it really depends on who you're replacing. I love both Jota or Darwin. If you have worse midfielders that you can replace this week, go Jota. If you have worse forwards, I would go, Darwin. Best replacement for João Pedro and Konsa. So Konsa, I would say Doughty with João Pedro. Probably Cunha. I mean, Cunha is interesting at a cheap price point. So tempted by Captain Darwin. I think it makes sense. Just scared Haaland could score a hat-trick. Well, that's Haaland for you. Best alternative for Foden, Jota. But if you're talking about a cheaper Man City midfielder, I don't really like Bernardo. I don't. I'm sorry. Odegaard to Jota, I think makes sense. Start Son or Bowen. I'd probably start Son. Which two would you start out of Alvarez, Watkins, and Solanke? Watkins and Solanke. Moez, Raya, Gabriel, Walker, and Porro this week. Gusto -4 to Virgil van Dijk. I think you have good enough defenders. Are you just playing 3 defenders? If you have 3 defenders, I wouldn't make the -4. You think KDB will play both games in double game week? I can't guarantee that. Because first of all, they're going to play the Champions League game. After that, maybe he could. But I can't guarantee it. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Feeling a little bit ill. If you guys are joining the stream. So that's why I am sneezing and etc. etc. Any City team leaks? I don't think we have any City team leaks today. So, yeah, unfortunately not. Not right now, obviously. We could get the City team leaks over the next hour. Because remember, Lazy FPL usually put some team leaks like within the hour. Who knows? Tony could give us some team leaks as well. Gusto gets assists and so attacking outside of PL games. Well, the cup games are easier as well, right? Let's be honest. I know Aston Villa's a tough opponent, but yeah, it was a good cross. Who'd I bench out of Jota and Palmer? Palmer. You're 1.5 million. Should I captain Darwin for rank? I think it's a good choice. Could I bench Jota or Palmer? As I said, I'd bench Palmer, and I'm also gonna have to put you in timeout. Who do you think of Moreno? What do you think of Moreno instead of Doughty? I'd still go Doughty. I mean, Doughty just has better fixtures in the short term. He doubles, and then Dean is coming back as well. Son before 28. I think Son on 27 is a great move. Gross or Bowen? Yeah, I'd go Gross. Gabriel versus Saliba. I'd probably go Gabriel. Start Cabore, Estupiñán, Moreno. Cabore doesn't make sense. He doesn't even play right now. I'd start Moreno, I think. Should I transfer out Alvarez for Haaland? I think so. I think it still makes sense. Obviously, wait for the leak, and then make the move. Richarlison captaincy pick. I think he's actually pretty good up there as well. Like, if you're not going to go Liverpool, I think Richarlison's one of the picks that makes sense. My question, of course, is there a chance that Richarlison can be subbed early? Maybe, right? Because Son is already back. Thank you guys so much for being in the stream. If you guys could like, rate, and subscribe, that would be really, really appreciated. Thoughts on Darwin captain? I mean, he's my vice captain right now. I'm pretty confident in him as a pick this week. My only issue is that I probably wouldn't go for a non-Holland captaincy unless I was sure of a leak or if I was really, really trying to chase rank. But obviously, you know that there's a risk, right? It is Holland at the end of the day. Any city leaks or team news? Not right now, not that I can see, but I'm going to quickly have a look at, obviously, all the chats that I'm in and see if we can find anything, and also have a look at Twitter. So give me a second, guys. I'll just quickly see if we can get some leaks. I don't think we actually have any leaks at all. No Tony leaks as well. Henshaw is injured, so Estupiñán seems fine. That's the only thing that we've gotten confirmed. Tony is probably not gonna. Tony seems like he could have leaks today. Okay, that's pretty much all I can see so far. I don't see any potential other leaks as well, so that's sort of the landscape right now. Start Porro or Saliba. I'd probably start Porro, to be honest. Gordon to He-Chan, I think that makes sense if you're planning for Gaming26, looking ahead of the curve. Is it worth transferring out Gordon or playing? I mean, look, another thing about Gordon is he's probably going to be back for Gaming26, but Hwang is probably going to be a future transfer for a lot of us, so I don't really mind that move. Is it worth transferring out Gordon for playing 4 defenders this week? It just depends on those 4 defenders. Like, do you like those 4 defenders, and are they good? Otherwise, I'd probably just transfer out. Who's a 4.4 million defender worth to buy? There's not too many, my friend. I think I'd probably go Van Heck just because he doesn't have a blank until 29. Bench Palmer Watkins? I'd probably bench Watkins, but it's very close. I think it's 50-50. I don't think you can go wrong with that. Can you repeat the leak again as YouTube adds? There's no leaks. It's just Henshaw is injured from Brighton, which means that Estupiñán should be nailed. Should be, but we'll see what happens. Garnacho or Hwang? I'd still play Hwang, to be honest. Porro to Guardiola for a hit or Olise to Barkley? I would go Olise to Barkley. Turner or Areola to start? Well, I would go Turner, but don't expect Turner to even start because, of course, we have the new goalkeepers already come in, and it's very unlikely that Turner will play. But you can start Turner, for the best and hope for the best. Watkins or Solanke to Holland? I'd probably go Solanke, to be honest, because Solanke for me still has a worse fixture compared to Watkins this week, so I'd rather have Watkins. And then I would just go back to Solanke later on. Start Moreno or Garnacho? I'd probably start Moreno, actually. Home fixture. Is Darwin essential? I would not say so. But I do like Solanke to Darwin for a free transfer. I think that's a very good move. No Salah plans before 31. Well, technically I would bring Salah in on Gaming 30. If let's say I was wildcarding on 31, I guess I'd bring him on in 30. Alvarez to Darwin for a -4. I probably wouldn't do it for a -4. Unless we got a leak saying that Alvarez is benched. Estupiñán or Gabriel start? I'd probably actually say it's a Gabriel start easily. Robbie starts. Focal. Who's Robbie? What do Focal say? Oh, Robertson starts. Okay. Sorry, I've never heard Robertson being called Robbie. But yeah. That's pretty big news. But the Anfield talk has gotten things wrong before, right? I just think, I mean, it makes too much sense for Robertson to start because, well, first of all, yeah, I mean, Joe Gomez apparently is ill, so. But if you can guarantee minutes for Robertson, that's huge. Can I actually go Robertson? Can I go Robertson? I need to have a think about this. Nah, I probably won't. Harjiv, thank you for the super chat. How's things with you? I'm doing good. Well, I am a little bit sick. You've already got De Bruyne, Jota, Richarlison, and Palmer. Foden for Gordon, I think is just a very simple, very easy move. Yeah, I would 100% do that if I was in your position. Um, Hi Fran, Trippier and João Pedro to Doughty and Darwin, -4, or Watkins and Porro and Eze to. I would probably go for the first move. I'd go for the first move. Because I still think I'd probably want to keep Watkins within my team, if I'm honest. Gordon to Jota for -4. I think that still makes sense because Gordon is very unlikely to play. Arnold to Virgil van Dijk. I don't think that makes sense. Guys, Conor Bradley, for personal reasons, is not going to be part of the squad. So actually, it makes a lot of sense to just play Trent this week, guys, if you own Trent. There's no reason to sell Trent. Gusto or Saliba? I'd probably play Saliba. Start Moreno or sell him to Doughty? I would start Moreno. It's not worth a -4 to transfer out Moreno either. Darwin captaincy. If you really want to chase rank, I think that makes sense, but I would still go with Haaland until we get a league. Hamad, thank you so much for the donation. And the super chat. Jota in for Bowen/Gordon and Darwin in for Solanke for -4. I think those are really good moves. I would probably go out of Bowen just so that it saves you more money, and Gordon will play for you in Gameweek 26 anyways. So if you can afford to bench Gordon, I would still just take out Bowen instead, and then just bench Gordon, and then just play Darwin over Solanke. That makes sense to me. Amarillo, thank you for the super chat. -4 for Watkins and Eze to Darwin and Jota. I love those moves. Same things here. I think a lot of you guys are looking at, your Jota moves and your Darwin moves, and if you have players who are suspended, and one of them are, or let's say one of the players is not really good, I can understand the cumulative impact of taking a -4 to go for Watkins and Darwin, or let's say, sorry, Darwin and Jota. I think that makes sense. Yes, of course, I don't really like Watkins out for Darwin necessarily, but because Eze to Jota is such a huge upgrade that is enabled by Watkins to Darwin, I think that makes sense. Who would you captain if you didn't have Haaland? Darwin. Easily. Hey, Fran, do you think He-Chan is starting? I think so. I can't see why he wouldn't, because obviously he's had a couple days of training. How about Son? Is he better than Richarlison? Honestly, I don't think so. Not for this week, at least. I'm worried about Moreno long-term back. Yeah, I mean, it's okay to be worried about Moreno long-term, but keep in mind, Dean's not going to come back suddenly and just take minutes away for this fixture, right? He's just gotten back into training, so I think it's very unlikely that Moreno loses minutes for this week. So you can just play Moreno this week and then reassess later. Is it worth a -4 Saka to Foden? No, it's not worth a -4. -4 Gordon out for Richarlison Jota. I would go Gordon to Jota for a -4 makes sense to me. Bowen to Jota. I think that makes sense as a move, guys. Start Neto Dubravka. I'd probably start Neto. Is He-Chan a good idea? I think he's a very good idea. The big thing about He-Chan is not just Gameweek 24. It's actually about Gameweek 26 when he faces Sheffield United at home. That's why He-Chan is so good. Philip, thank you so much. Would you start with Charleston or buy Darwin with no hit and start Darwin instead? If honestly you're, if the question is between Richarlison and Darwin, like if you have to bench Richarlison, I will not recommend buying Darwin. But if you can actually buy Darwin and play Richarlison, and you have someone else that's worth benching, I would buy Darwin as well. But if you're buying Darwin just to bench Richarlison, I would not recommend it, not at all. Porro to Guardiola for a hit or Olise to Barkley. I would just go Olise to Barkley. I don't think it hits worth for a defender on a single game week. How is there no City news? I mean, usually we get the City news quite late, right? So we can wait a bit to get the City news. All right, I actually forgot to do my Gameweek 22 sort of post for my FPL team. So I'm going to quickly draft that tweet up, but I'll have a look at chat questions as well in the meantime. Have I missed any super chats today? Hopefully I haven't. No, I don't think so. I did make a mistake last week, which was really upsetting. So, yeah. KDB to Jota. I don't think it makes sense unless we get a KDB's out leak, right? Like, unless we get a leak that KDB's out, I wouldn't make a move like that. Bench Jota or Son? I'd bench Son easily. Like, there's no way I'm benching Jota. Like, I know Jota's going to start unless he's sick, and if he's sick, he's not going to play. So, I would just play Jota easily over Son. I can't guarantee that Son starts this week. Porro or Luiz? I'd play Porro. You mean Douglas Luiz? I'd probably play Douglas Luiz, actually. Why Bowen out? He has great fixtures. I mean, how does Bowen have great fixtures? Like, West Ham is the great fixture. He doesn't blank in 26, that's true. But the thing is, if you think about it, right, in the short term, if you have a double, like let's say you're Jota or Foden, you're still going to have one more fixture than Bowen, like no matter what, in the short term. And ultimately, Jota and Foden are still much better picks on a week-to-week basis than Bowen. Sorry, as in Jota and Foden. So that's why I would recommend obviously doing so. Philip says, I can buy Darwin with no hit, but then Rich Palmer, nah. I don't think it's worth it. I would just roll. If you can roll this week, you can make more powerful moves. Because next week, think about it like this, right? Next week, you can bring Darwin in, and Palmer is actually someone you could just bench, right? Because he's versus Man City. Or you can even take Palmer out and just go Jota. So that's my opinion, Philip. I really don't think it's necessary. In your situation, if I had to bench like Richarlison, Palmer, Watkins, these are all amazing picks for this week. I probably wouldn't do it. But yeah, I don't think Bowen's an amazing pick. First of all, he's not on set pieces. He's not a penalty taker either. So his value is not as high as people think just because he overscored or outperformed his underlying stats very, very early on in the game. And obviously now we're also seeing Bowen sort of regress to the mean in terms of his underlying stats. So he started off the season, I think, something like 0.45 xG per 90. Now, of course, he's dropped off a little bit back to 0.37, which is a peak that he previously has hit before. But keep in mind, of course, his underlying stats for his expected assists aren't particularly high too. And then obviously there's no clean sheet points for West Ham very often. So that makes Bowen also a worse pick slightly if you're thinking about projecting points and thinking about, you know, how easy it is to do well. So I think Bowen, for example, is a very good short-term transfer just because it enables you to get the doublers and you can actually go for someone cheaper. Like Huang, for example, I'd prefer Garnacho. I'd prefer, you know, over owning Bowen. So that's my thoughts. Why bench Porro? No particular reason why I benched Porro. The reason why I benched Porro is simply because Gabriel has much better clean sheet odds, in my opinion. And I think the West Ham attack, of course, as you can see, is I don't rate it particularly high. So I'll be doing that. My wild card in 26. I'm not gonna plan my wild. I'm not gonna show my wild card 26 until I actually do it. If I do it. Foden starts. Is that the leak? FPL Tony. Yeah, that was pretty obvious though. I mean, who actually thought that Tony was gonna? I mean, who actually thought Foden was gonna get benched? All right, fine. I'll just retweet it though. Thoughts on Barnes as an extra differential for Blank Gaming 26? I don't think he's worth an extra differential because the differential you're telling me is that he's going to be versus Arsenal, so it doesn't make any sense. One sec, sorry. Someone's at the door. So I'll be back in literally like 10 seconds. All right, back to questions. Son versus Palmer. I would still start Palmer. My major issue is let's say you've kept Son. I know this is a great fixture, but I would still actually think about playing Palmer, playing most people who actually have a good fixture themselves over Son, because there's no guarantees that Son will actually start this game. Pau or Porro Gabriel? I just go Gabriel. Thoughts on Barnes? I've already answered that question. Is there doubt about KDB? Potentially, I guess. I mean, if you think that KDB is going to be prioritized for the Champions League fixture, then yes, there would be a doubt. But let's see if we can get some news from Mr. Tony over here. I guess I'll just stay tuned on Tony's page. So we've got the Tony leaks on one side. So that's there. Okay. Darwin starts. Sorry, guys. I'm quickly checking the leaks because I think... Are people saying that Walker's benched? Is Tony... excuse me, sorry. Will you be doing a video on chip strategies? Yes, I will. I'll be doing a video on chip strategies for Gameweek 25. Bench Palmer or Bernardo? I'd bench... I'd probably bench Bernardo, honestly. Bench Porro, Estupiñán, Gabriel. I'd probably bench Estupiñán. I'm trying to figure out if we're gonna get some news. I think Jota and Darwin are probably gonna start. That's the news that I've heard. Is there gonna be Champions League rest? I'm trying to understand what's going on. Sorry, guys. There seems to be some leaks. Gusto or Saliba to start? I'd probably go Saliba. Walker in for -4. I don't think Walker in for -4 makes any sense. Is Walker benched? Potentially. I'm waiting for Tony to confirm it because I don't really know if the source makes sense. Is that going to be Man City rest? Pep Roulette, is it coming? We need FPL Tony to confirm it. All he's confirmed so far is lazy. All right, let's try lazy FPL. They don't have any leaks today. All we have is Foden starts. Any Liverpool leaks? Sorry, I'm just gonna quickly fix my camera. So the Liverpool leaks. Okay, my camera's not fixing itself. I think the Liverpool leaks is Darwin starts and Jota starts. And my camera's just being stupid. -4 to swap Bruno for a City midfielder. I mean, I think the only City midfielder that would be worth it is Foden. I hate this news. Watkins to Darwin for -4. I'd still probably wouldn't do it. Not for -4. Unless you can get Jota with the other like, let's say Watkins to Darwin makes sense as a -4 if the other move is like for Jota, for example. Like if you're going Eze to Jota, for example. I don't like Olise to Jota plus Porro to Van Heck for -8. I don't think I think that's too aggressive. Gordon, Isaac, Solanke to Jota, Holland, Adebayo. I think that's too much as well. Start Alvarez or Palmer. I'd start Palmer. Who to bench? Solanke, Saka, Palmer. Oh, now we actually have to wait for Man City leaks because I think there's actually going to be leaks today. Oh, I'm kind of worried that Man City will rotate. I think Man City's going to rotate, right? What do you think about captaining Jota? Yeah, I'd probably captain Holland. You know, if we get unless we get a leak magically that Holland is rested. I do really like Jota and Darwin. Like both Jota and Darwin, I think are really good shouts. I am sick. Sorry, guys. Hope you're well, Dr. Malcolm. Who to bench? Solanke, Saka, Palmer. I'd bench Solanke. Is Jota better than Darwin? I'd probably still say it's close, actually. Palmer or Kunha? I'd go Palmer. Any City news? I wouldn't go Kevin captain because apparently there's rumors that Man City will rotate. So, what is the optimal chip strategy? There's no optimal chip strategy. It's always team dependent. I think a lot of people are planning something like wildcard 27, free hit 34, bench boost 37, or bench boost 28, or you wildcard 31, free hit 34, and then bench boost 37. Or you do free hit 29 and then wildcard 35 and then bench boost 37. If Walker is benched, I think better to start Doughty. Easily better to start Doughty. I might start Porro over the next 30 minutes. So we have 30 minutes to wait for the news, and we can make that decision. KDB does not start. KDB does not start. KDB does not start. I just want to repeat that. KDB does not start. Wow. Source is lazy FPL. Source is lazy FPL. It is official. It is official. All right, sorry guys, we're gonna have to just react to leaks basically. Excuse me. You know what that means though, guys? That means Alvarez is gonna start 100%. I think. If KDB is benched, I think Alvarez is starting. Why don't you have Jota? Well, I can't afford him, and I don't want to go Richarlison to Jota. That's pretty much it. KDB to Jota. KDB to Jota probably makes sense, guys. If you can do it for a free transfer, I would do it. Burn or Gabriel, I'd go Gabriel. Okay, we'll just have to stay tuned in terms of our leaks. What else is Tony going to confirm? Tony confirms Darwin starts, but we already knew that. Okay. So I'm on lazy FPL. They've already confirmed KDB is benched. Oof. So that's very good news for Alvarez owners. Should I take Watkins off for Adebayo? Actually, yeah. If you're an Alvarez owner, I probably would actually hold back on Alvarez transfer. Like, for example, don't go Alvarez to Darwin now. I'd just probably keep Alvarez. Um, you were going to do Nkunku to Darwin, but now you're doing Pedro to Darwin because of KDB news. Yep, fair enough. Is Sun for Saka a good move after the Spurs blank? Sun for Saka, good move. Um, I mean, yes, technically, yes. I would still say so. It would still make sense. Chisel Planet says, "Damn, maybe bench KDB for Watkins or Garnacho." I would definitely bench KDB for Watkins. That's 100% something that I would do. Solanke to Darwin, I still think is a great move because we know Darwin starts. Bench one Watkins, Saka, Palmer. I'd probably bench Watkins. Stefan, Gordon to Jota or Estupiñán to Virgil van Dijk. I prefer Jota because I still think, okay, it's very likely that Estupiñán's going to play, first of all. Second of all, I prefer Gordon as an upgrade to Jota. So, like, I think Jota this week is probably still better. Like, if I had to captain someone, I would be captaining Jota, not Virgil van Dijk, right? So, I would definitely go with that pick. I'm just going to refresh some of the leaks. Let's see what we're actually cooking. No updated leaks. It's just Darwin starts. Jota starts. Jota starts. Confirmed by Main Road. So Jota starts. Jota starts. Yep. This is so chaotic. Just refreshing everyone basically. I don't see any other leaks though. No other leaks right now. KDB benched. Yep, that's the news that we found out today. I don't know why am I rolling. Because I have no moves to make. I can't go Eze to Jota with one free transfer, so it doesn't make sense. Thoughts on Gusto against this week in Palace side? I think Gusto's perfectly fine to play. Like, Gusto's a really good pick for this week. Totally fine. Vedant says KDB to Jota. I think that makes sense. I'm trying to understand if we get. Okay, I hate these leaks. I think Holland has to start, right? There's no way. Can't bench that many people. I need to have a look at my team right now. I just need to think about it. Okay, so KDB is benched. Are they just planning for Champions League? Do I just bench Walker? Haaland captaincy confirmed. No, it's not confirmed. I'm kind of waiting for someone to actually confirm that Haaland starts because I'm kind of worried now. Yeah. Does Lazy FPL have any other leaks? We've got 22 minutes to go. I hate leaks. All right. These leaks are so annoying. Okay, KDB to Jota for -4. I think, yeah, I think that would make sense, actually. It would make sense. A lot of people are panicking now because of leaks. Well, pretty much. I mean, I just have to react to the leaks. I don't have any information on myself, so I'm kind of waiting to see if Walker is going to play. I'm waiting for Tony, basically, to confirm stuff. Oh, God. I don't know. Sorry, there was a new member, actually. Apologies. Stefan, thank you so much. Welcome to Captain as well. Appreciate you being around. 614 watching, only 202 likes. But yeah, thank you guys for being members. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Can't decide to start Ollie Watkins or Solanke. I would start Watkins, to be honest. I still think he's at home. Both of them have good fixtures in terms of the quality of opponents that they're facing. And yeah, I would go for Watkins. His underlying stats are still exemplary, even without the fact that he's a penalty taker, sorry. Jota or Foden. I'd still prioritize Jota for this week, but of course, Game Week 26 has to come into your consideration. So if Foden is actually better for you sort of for the next 3 weeks, then I would go for Foden instead. If anything, I would go for both. You know? Is there any news? Is there any other news? Haaland starting? Who said? Oh my God. Who's confirming the... Apparently someone says Haaland starts. I need to check who says. Haaland starts. Haaland starts. Tony confirmed Haaland starts. Okay, so that means both our captain choices are starting. Haaland starts. So Haaland starts, KDB's benched. Maybe the -4 makes sense. Now we just need to update on Walker. Exactly. We need Walker leaks. Start Doku or KDB. I'd start Doku because I think KDB's benched. Walker bench. I think Walker might be benched. Let's see. Excuse me. Sorry. Still pretty sick. We'll see. I don't know. If everyone's getting rotated, I don't know. I think it could be the chance how Walker's benched. I'll just play Porro then. Or do I play Colwell if Walker's benched? This is stressful. Do I play Colwell? No, I think I have to play Porro. Why can't you just play football, Walker? Why not Captain Darwin? Well, because I know Holland starts, and I don't know. I need to think about it. Okay, we just have to keep waiting, I guess. Notorious Resul, thank you. Nice to see you again. Do you think I should do turn it to Kaminsky for -4? You have Ariola as a second keeper. I don't think it's worth. Look, Ariola obviously has a bad fixture, but anytime someone has a bad fixture, it's still going to be good for a goalkeeper because you can make saves. So, do I see Kaminsky getting more than 6 or 7 points guaranteed? I absolutely do not think so. So for a -4, I don't think it's worth it. I wouldn't do it. If you could go Allison, maybe it might just be worth it. But usually, I would only take a -4 for a goalkeeper if I knew that my keeper had a blank, or of course if there's a double game week, and the double game week is next week. So I'd rather you make the goalkeeper transfer next week instead. Uh, okay. We'll see what happens with Walker's. It's over, guys. It's so over. Walker's benched. Tony just confirmed it. Well, get get to the back of my bench, Walker. What a useless guy this guy is. Yeah, so Walker's benched, and I'm still sniffling. Um, Gusto or Doughty? I'd probably go Gusto at this. I'd go Doughty. I mean, if Doughty's your transfer in, I'd go Doughty. But if Gusto's just your residual player, then I would just keep Gusto. Walker's bench, by the way, guys. That's confirmed. We just got the leak. Sun starts. Can't confirm that. Jota, Darwin starts. That's the news we got. KDB benched. Holland starts. Bench Alvarez or Watkins. I'd bench Watkins actually because Alvarez probably is going to start versus Everton at home. Any news on Gordon? He wasn't in training this week, so I think he's unlikely to play. So I'd say Gordon's unlikely to play. Well, goodbye, Walker. Never liked you. So get in the back of my team. Why does Walker have to do this to me? Useless guy. I'm just gonna quickly tweet my team just so that people don't complain that I don't share stuff before the deadline, so I don't get flamed. But yeah, Walker is benched. Okay, that's my team. Sorry, I actually missed that. Notorious Reservoir. Thank you so much. Tipping you some more money. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. Hope your season gets back on track as soon as possible. Take care and thank you so much again, once again. Walker is benched. Yep, KDB's benched. Why not buying Doughty now? Because I've got Pedro Porro who can play for me. Do I start Odobert or KDB? Wait, actually, let me think about this. Sorry. What if I could just go Virgil van Dijk? I guess I could do that. I guess I could do it, can't I? That could be quite interesting. If Walker's benched, could I just go Virgil van Dijk? I don't know. I'm actually thinking about Darwin captaincy soon. But sorry, one of the super chats from Hamad was Trippier to Virgil van Dijk / Robbo and Solanke to Darwin for a free. I think that's really good. I would actually go for Virgil van Dijk because for me, even though Robbo's going to start today, I can't confirm that Robbo's going to start the next 2 double game week fixtures, right? As soon as Joe Gomez is back and he's fit and he's ready to play, he could very well just play left back once again. So for me, I would go Trippier to Virgil van Dijk and I would go Solanke to Darwin 100%. Son to Jota. I probably wouldn't go Son to Jota because I feel like Son would be a move that I want to keep in the short term. But if you want to hokey cokey and bring back Son at Game 27, I would probably do it. So yeah. I'm probably just going to Holland captain, guys. I think. I really want to go Darwin, though. I really want to go Darwin. Uh, will Son start? I can't confirm that. Do I start Odobert or KDB? I'll just start KDB. It's KDB. Stones and Akanji start. Is that the news? Who's confirmed that? Is Guardiola benched? Guardiola's benched? Oh my god. Okay. Okay, I guess so. That is so annoying. Do I play Colwell? I don't think I will. It's too risky. I could just go Van Dijk though. I could just go Van Dijk. Okay. Do I start Odobert KDB? I would actually just go KDB. Let's go Darwin captain. Darwin captain. Is Colwell fit to start? I think he's fit to start, but the question is, will he actually start? So last week, right, we had Thiago Silva benched in the FA Cup because apparently his wife has been sharing some weird stuff about Pochettino. Plus, also, He's had some sort of on the touchline sort of spats with Pochettino as well. So that should guarantee Colwell's minutes. But then I also think he's going to be playing center back probably. So yeah. Why did I bring in Ake? Is Ake benched as well? I didn't actually see that. Yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna Holland captain, I think. Holland captain, probably Porro ahead of Colwell, and that's I think that's me, guys. I think that's I can't make any better moves. Um yeah. God, these leaks are so annoying. But it also I don't know, at the end of the day, we just find out Walker's benched. That's that. Is Colwell fit to start? I think he is. So someone's asked that already. Captain Jota. I think Jota's fine, but I still probably want to captain Holland. So that's that. Would you do Bowen to Jota or Solanke to Darwin? I'd probably do Bowen to Jota first. I actually rate Solanke more than Bowen. Odegaard to Jota for a -4 this week. I don't think it's worth it. Hey Fran, Holland, Darwin for Alvarez Watkins or Holland Adebayo for Alvarez Solanke. I probably would actually keep Alvarez because I think Alvarez will play. Do you think you could do Solanke to Darwin? Would you do? Ooh, why? Bench one Palmer, Barkley, Richarlison. I'd bench Palmer. I think I'd bench Palmer. It's pretty close though. That is pretty close. Colwell replacement, Doughty, just Doughty, or Virtual Van Dijk, obviously, if you can afford it. My God, this deadline. I'm just gonna quickly check the leaks once again, guys, just to make sure that we actually have a full understanding what's going on. Um, yeah, Walker's out for sure. God, Walker was such a bad move for me a couple weeks ago. No additional leaks that I can really see. And if Holland starts, Holland starts. I think that's it. Um, uh, God. Yeah, I'm just gonna captain I'm gonna captain Holland, I think. Yeah, I mean, people saying Colwell to Doughty, I think it's a good move, but is rolling the free transfer good enough for me? I think the question is how bad is Poro's fixture? And I don't think it's that bad. I really don't think it's that bad. Like, I think he'll lose a clean sheet, but can he get an attacking return? Like, almost certainly he can. So, it's close. It's certainly very close. How much upside am I get from Doughty, I guess, as a move is a good question. That's life. 2 minutes left to decide. Colwell to Doughty. The thing about Doughty sometimes is he does also get hooked off early, right? So I guess the average of 83 minutes is fine. Colwell to Doughty. Yeah, okay. Let's go. Let's go Colwell to Doughty. Fine, fine. Let's do it. It's gonna give me a doubler. So who am I fielding next week though? I'd have to bench Pedro Porro next week again. But Colwell's dead to me. He's absolutely dead to me. Okay, got 1 minute. Let's just I don't have time. I don't have time to make the move. I don't have time to make the move. Ah. No, I'm just gonna keep it as it is. Ah, we missed the chance. I just thought it was too tough though. This is Doughty's best fixture. I think this Doughty fixture is actually better than it's better than next week's double actually, because you could lose a lot of points for Liverpool away from home. So ah, that was close. I do think I have a good team. Like I agree. None of my defenders, like let's say Gabriel and Porro, that they're not better than Doughty this week, but ah, that's rough. I'm sorry, I actually missed the super chat. I really, really apologize about that. I'm sorry, I actually apologize multiple super chats. Monks risk starting Estupiñán. I would have started Estupiñán, yes, yeah. I think it would have been worth the risk. I'm really sorry I missed that one actually. Actually, can we give Hamad also asked Trippier to Virgil van Dijk / Robbo and Solanke to Darwin for a free. I would have gone Trippier to Virgil van Dijk. No, actually, I did answer that question already. So I'm really sorry, Monks, for missing the chat. Mal also, you think you're going to keep KDB? I probably would have sold him, to be honest. But for Gordon, I would have just gone for Jota or Foden, and you wouldn't have been able to go wrong really with that. I wonder if I can give Monks membership. I'm really sorry for missing the chat, guys. Give me 1 sec. Because I should be able to gift out membership. So I'm trying to think, can I do so? Ooh. But I hope you're still able to make the right move, Monks. It's not too close though, anyways, because I mean it is quite close because ultimately it's a bad fixture for us to be on. Good luck, everyone. Stressful last few minutes. How do you become a member? I think just right below the sort of where the video screen is, there's a button that says join, and you can join to become a member there. This is even more stressful because I've been sick, so like I actually don't feel very good. So my ability to make decisions that are sound probably also isn't very good. That was way too close, risking Watkins out for Alvarez in. All the best, guys. Good luck for you guys as well this game week. Apologies, I haven't been feeling my my best. But yeah, I hope you guys have a green arrow. Hope you guys have a lovely weekend. And I hope you guys take care. Is there a way to view my team when the game is updating? Not really. You kind of have to wait like 20 minutes for the game to update. KDB bench, that's completely true. Walker's bench, that's true as well. Bench Saka Watkins is a bit too late for that. I probably would have benched Watkins if I'm honest. Ended up going Eze to Hechan. I think that's a very good move. So congratulations on making that move. But yeah, I'm sorry once again to Monks for missing out the chat. Same with Mal as well. Was sort of just reacting to my own moves. A little bit too late for me to react, and I was just yeah, just going crazy over those moves. Yeah. All right. Take care, guys. I'll see you guys next week. Notorious Reswell, thank you. Welcome to Captain as well. You've been supporting the channel for a long time, so I really appreciate the support, and I'm glad to see you as a member. So take care, guys, and hope you guys have a lovely green hour.